Hello, fellow students, Professor. It's good to be here with you to do another presentation in our class. So let's just get started. So I'll be doing Chapter 17, Party Polarization and Policy Productivity. In this chapter, we're going to look at examine data and theories and arguments regarding the flow of productivity relating to Congress. The time frame for this is the 67th Congress through the 111th Congress. So that would be Harding to our former President Obama. So what exactly is party polarization? Party polarization can be defined easily as conflict where individuals and or groups take a stance on any given issue that identifies with a certain party. And throughout the readings, you can see the effects of party polarization. And we do have examples, current examples of polarization and the outcome of policy productivity. And policy productivity can just be defined as the effectiveness of which laws are passed. Doesn't have to be good laws, but just at the rate laws are being passed. So, and the book definitely has some data on this as well. So we take a look at, and we're going to ask, do political parties facilitate in crafting public policy? There are some that believed that a united party government was key to enacting public policy, having a shared agenda in both executive and the legislative branch to ensure things kept flowing. Also, there have been thoughts that conflict and competitiveness help shape public policy, and once again that policy productivity. One of our leading political scientists, Robert Dahl, he thought that conflict does relate to problem resolution, and he thought that was something that could be innovative to a functioning body such as Congress. But the authors of Chapter 17, Dodd and I can't even say that other name, not even try, thought that even too little polarization can also undermine policy as well, enacting good policy or policy productivity. So, but one of the first concepts in the book relates to the curvilinear argument, and that curvilinear relationship, basically, states that two data points increasing together, as one goes up, one comes down. So the authors in this chapter, relate that to. So if Congress itself is high in polarization, sometimes that might mean a drop in productivity. And of course, the opposite could be said regarding, if there's high productivity, there may be less polarization because, things would be getting done. And also within that chapter, if you looked at figure 17.1, it gives a good example of that curve of, low to high polarization. So, we can always, look at the data and track, how Congress regarding polarization and productivity. So, but some of the other things, I think you want the right amount of polarization. For example, I don't know if anyone if you've ever been a baker, but for all baked goods, you got to put salt in the ingredients. I think if you have too much salt, it just ruins the product. So Thinking along those lines, you want just a little bit because, of course, different parties have different ideological positions across policy domains. So, you want just the right amount. So, but continuing on, there are some examples pointed out in the book regarding, the early post-war years. Regarding, for example, the book mentions Truman. During his, administration, it seemed like there were divisions over policy within the party, deadlock on Capitol Hill, hesitation to invest in party leaders. So you saw very, very few initiatives and innovative things coming out of Congress at that time. So on the flip side, it goes further to mention, during some of the contemporary periods, such as, Bush, Clinton, Obama, during those years, you have strong party leadership, influence. You do have a clear, vast difference in ideology, but also sometimes there seem to be constant stalemates on a daily basis. Regarding that to that productivity, it can be a stalemate. So in the book also, and you can think about, and the book also mentions, especially when it comes regards, once again, to the people that Congress serves. Congress serves the people. So, you would think that the American people are fed up with, those kind of stalemates not getting, anything done. But once again, though, you want to take a look at how we measure productivity, polarization, and, of course, the relationship between them both. So looking at measuring productivity, we examine, the data from the post-war Congresses. We look at the percentages of laws passed. And in the book, the data they came up with, they gave Congresses scores from stalemate, which means if they ranked 20% or less, that was a stalemate. They didn't get things done. There were satisfactory and exceptional Congresses. So, I had to do a little bit more research regarding, some of the Congresses at that time. It's very interesting to see, for example, like a stalemate Congress, the 106th Congress seemed to be a stalemate. Also, some satisfactory Congresses that were in between 20 and 40%. For instance, like the 85th Congress. In exceptional Congresses, actually, one of the most recent ones, the 111th Congress. So if you look at history and you can see some of the major events and sometimes some of the legislation that was passed, you get the idea in Figure 17.2 regarding the percentages of legislation passed regarding productivity. So, but also, so what about the polarization? Party polarization. Definitely ideological differences between the parties. Sometimes that would increase minority groups and minority parties within Congress. People are loyalty members are loyal to their party. Okay, so that definitely, you got party distance and party loyalty. So, within, that polarization, we could understand that people stick to what they believe. We can, today we see clear differences between those parties, and sometimes it's head to head, it's gridlock, and that relationship between them both sometimes can end up in a stalemate position. So, I think furthermore, what the book and what the authors of of the chapter, they're advocating for a moderate polarization. They feel that moderate polarization can definitely give good conflict, but also produce good policy, which I'm actually going to have to agree with. There have been times where Congress has been able to produce good policy when people are less focused on, their ideological differences, but focusing on the fact that, producing good policy or just policy period can be, at the end, good for the country. So, that's definitely my take on it. Thank you for your time. Thank you.